Hi guys, welcome back to Sacred Vedic Astrology. My name is Samantha and I feel so blessed and truly so lucky to be a professional Vedic sidereal astrologer. So today we're going to continue our series on the different pairings of houses. Today we are going into the more safe, secure, grounded realm. We are going into the Artha houses. So if we want to connect the meaning of Artha with a phrase, we can think about Artha as earth, right? It's very similar in the way that those two words are expressed. So the Artha houses are connected to the earth signs, to the earth sort of energy as well too. So the Artha houses in Vedic astrology are houses 2, 6, and 10. And these houses connect to our security, our stability, our work life, and essentially our resources. And that's a huge aspect of the Artha houses. Now, in order to live a fulfilled life, the philosophy of the different pairings of houses is these 4 aims of life are all needed to live like a fulfilling whole life, right? So we need moksha, we need spiritual liberation, we need Artha, we need security and financial wealth to live a proper life. We also need dharma and purpose. So we need all the different aims of life to have this completion in our lifetime, to feel whole, to feel complete, right? So it's important to note that it's not about one pairing of houses, one aim of life is better than the other. It's more so about this like co-creation between the different pairings of houses to achieve true fulfillment in this lifetime. So there's an importance on each aim of life. All right, so the Artha energy is going to be about material support that exists on the earthly plane of existence, right? If we think about Artha energy, this is going to connect to all the aspects of life that make us feel stable and secure, right? So money, career success, the finer things in life, food, what we're putting into our body. These are all aspects of life that are really important for us to feel safe and grounded in our earthly existence. And that is really going to be the Artha energy. All right, so let us break down the different houses and all the meanings that they are going to encompass so we can really understand the Artha energy in Vedic astrology. All right, so let us start with the second house. So the second house is income that we earn ourselves. So 8th house is other people's money. Second house is our own sense of money. So this would be money we earn through our work life, daily life, any sort of wealth that is accumulated from ourself. Now, the second house is also the speech, early childhood experiences, the family life, the family upbringing. It's really important in Vedic astrology to look at the second house for the early childhood experience as well too. It's going to be the family lineage and the values as well. So someone's sense of worth and value that they place on themselves in this lifetime can really be seen through the second house as well too. So the second house is connected to matters of wealth and security. So this would be knowledge, education as well, schooling, teachers, writers, speech issues. So if someone has a very debilitated or poorly aspected second house, they can have issues with speech. I've seen charts of clients where they have like a really afflicted second house and they had some sort of speech impediment or speech issue when they were growing up. That's like the extreme manifestation, but it can definitely occur in extreme cases. All right, so the second house is imagination, the way that we express ourselves, right? So if someone has, for example, Venus in the second house, this gives a more poetic sort of speech, right? Because someone is going to speak like Venus. They're going to speak in that more creative, beautiful, Venusian sort of way. They say that Venus in the second gives poets, right? If someone has Mars in the second house, they might speak very aggressively. They might speak without thinking. They might be aggressive like that in their speech. That's going to be the different manifestations of planets based on what is activating that second house. All right. It's also going to be anything we put into our body, anything we ingest. So food, alcohol, substances. The ancient texts will say malefics in the second house, they like to ingest poisons, right? Quote unquote poisons, which just means that someone might eat poorly, drink alcohol, take substances. If you have a lot of like afflictions on your second house, it's best to stay away from substances, unhealthy food, drugs, etc., because there's already this affliction or this issue with the second house of what's being put into the body. So if someone has too many malefics in the second, aspecting the second ruler, really important for them to try to stay away from substances, poisons, as they would say. All right, so this is also going to be like the face, the mouth, this area as well too. And it's going to be the happiness of someone's home or family life. So it can be their upbringing, but it could also be the home and family life that they are creating later on as well too, after the initial upbringing as well. All right, so those are all the meanings of the second house. Really, really important to see how is someone going to make money. Is it going to be easy for them to make money? Is it going to be easy for them to have security in that way? How do they speak? How do they express themselves? A lot of times when there's a lot of malefics in the second house, I tell people, like, you might accidentally offend people when you speak. If, for example, someone has, like, Mars debilitated in the second or Ketu aspect in the second, there can be some issues with the expression and the literal speech as well. All right, so let us move on to the sixth house. So the sixth house is the house of service. So this includes daily service, discipline, healing, and overcoming challenges and obstacles as well too. So the sixth house would be our day-to-day work. It would be helping people, improvement. The sixth house is an Upachaya house, which means that it is the house of improvement and a house that gets better with time. So planets in the sixth house can get better as someone gets older or can improve with time in some regard as well too. So sixth house is health, illness, disease, enemies, public enemies. So it's not so much hidden enemies. It's any sort of enemy that's like in the public, right? Which is why it connects to legal issues as well too. Sixth house is competition, competitors, jealous people, service-oriented jobs. So this can be like the food industry. It's a famous sort of, aspect of Vedic astrology where the second lord in the sixth or the sixth lord in the second, either one can give some sort of work connection to the food industry, or they can be connected to service industry if those two houses do connect with one another. All right, so it's going to be those more service-oriented jobs. It's going to be food, restaurants. It's also going to really connect to healers and anyone who is adjacent to like health professions. So they say the sixth house is more so traditional healers, nurses, doctors, themes of that nature. But I have also seen sixth house energy where it gives like more non-traditional healers as well too. It's more so just someone who wants to help others improve in this lifetime more than anything. It's that house of improvement. So someone has a strong sixth house, they want to help others get better right? So whether that's through coaching, whether that's through acupuncture, whether that's a nurse, a doctor, there's some aspect of improvement of the self and improvement of others, right? So when you see a lot of sixth house energy active in someone's chart, there's going to be some theme where what they do in work or what they do in their daily life is very much focused on how can we make this better, right? So I had a client recently who had a very strong sixth house, and she actually worked in tech, and she was like in the field of technology, but all of the work that she was doing in tech was focused on helping others improve. So it doesn't always have to be a doctor, a nurse, a healer, etc., but there's going to be a focus on improvement, how to make things better, how to improve the world around. And sixth house energy can also be very disciplined, structured energy. So if someone has a really strong sixth house, for example, Beyonce's chart, which we looked into in a previous chart analysis, so much sixth house energy. She's dedicated, she's focused, she works every day, she puts in the work, she's not afraid of hard work. That's the sixth house. You know, it's very focused on these like daily routines, daily structures, daily order to get things done. So it's really important. It's that disciplined, structured energy. Now, the sixth house is also going to be, you know, physical fitness, the ability for someone to maintain their health. If you see a lot of strong sixth house energy, someone has a love for like health, fitness, working out, moving their body. They like to really stay in shape and stay healthy in some degree as well too. Okay. So let us move on to the 10th house. So the 10th house is the public work, it's the career, it's public karma, it's visibility. So this is really that house of dharma that is given to the world, right? It's how someone shows up in the world, how they're seen, how they're viewed, and it's very much someone's career life. So this would be career activities, professional activities, the father in the North Indian system of astrology. So I spoke about this earlier, but like the 9th house and the 10th house connects to the father. I usually try to analyze both, but the 10th house is also very much connected to the energy of the father as well too. This is the dharma, the life purpose, fame, status, public recognition, worldly power, anything that's going to benefit the world or society. Can also connect to authority and government officials as well too. So the 10th house is always going to be the point of analysis to understand what someone's career or public image looks like. For example, someone has moon in the 10th house, they might work with the public, they might work in more emotional spaces, they work with women a lot of the times. That's something I've seen very often where someone has moon in the 10th and they have a career that connects to women specifically. Whenever I tell that to clients, they're always like shocked by that one. I'm like, do you work with women? And they're like, yes. So that's definitely an aspect of moon in the 10th house. It can give fame, it can give notoriety, etc. Someone has Ketu in the 10th house, which I do, they have a more Ketu-like career. They're, you know, spiritual, they're astrologers, or they're photographers, or they're in more Ketu-like fields, and the way they come across into the world is very Ketu-like, otherworldly, mystical, themes of that nature, right? It's going to be like that. The 10th house is really, really important for chart analysis because if someone has a very like poorly afflicted 10th house, so many malefics in the 10th, so many malefics onto the 10th ruler is afflicted, it's the kind of lifetime where the career is not always going to be the thing that brings someone the most happiness and fulfillment, right? If there's like Jupiter in the 10th house lord is really strong, Rahu's on the 10th, that person can actually get a lot of career fulfillment and they can feel very happy and good when they go towards their career. If there's a lot of malefics in the 10th or aspecting the 10th, it's one of those lifetimes where it's not that they shouldn't work or shouldn't have a career, but it's not always the point of the chart where someone is, screaming from the rooftops, oh my God, this is the best career. It's not so much like that. There can be more career blocks or issues, or a lifetime that might focus in other realms of life. Like that. All right. So these are the different meanings of the Artha houses in Vedic astrology. Again, these videos are very simplistic in the sense that it's giving very basic aspects of analysis, right? But when we put it all into, when we bring all these elements together, right? Like what the houses mean, what the Artha energy is, are there malefics in these houses, benefics, are they poorly aspected, are they well aspected? That's when we get that really specific predictive aspect of Vedic astrology. And I actually think if you want to learn Vedic astrology, the place that I would start is memorization of all the houses and what they mean. And I wouldn't even go further until that is really clear in your mind. What is the first house? What is the fifth house? What is the 10th house? What is the 7th house, etc. Because until you understand that, you're not going to understand anything important about chart analysis. Because true chart analysis in Vedic astrology is malefics in these houses, benefics in these houses, malefics aspecting these houses, benefics aspecting these houses, the rulers of these houses, what are they aspected by? Are they debilitated? Are they exalted? That's Vedic astrology, and if you don't know all the different meanings of these houses, there's really no point. Like, that is the true essence of accurate astrology prediction. So I would say, really start with memorizing all the different meanings of the houses, and then you can start applying it to your chart or just understanding astrology in general, right? For example, if someone has 3 malefics in their second house, they might not, have the best financial security in this lifetime. If someone has a really strong Venus in their 10th house aspected by 3 benefics, they can have a really successful creative career, etc. Right? It's like we start with the basics of the meanings of the houses, and then we apply the planetary energies that sit there, how the planets are performing, how the signs are performing, how the planets are aspected, etc. So it's like that. All right, so the Artha houses 2, 6, and 10 are really important to analyze if someone is going to have a more stable, wealth producing sort of lifetime. Are they going to have a big career? Are they going to be connected to daily work, daily service? Are they going to be structured? Or are they going to be disciplined? This is a huge aspect of life, and it's really important to see if someone is going to do well in those spaces or if they're going to have more issues there. All right, so again, the main point is think about Artha as earth energy. It's all things connected to the earthly plane of existence, right? The reality that we exist in. The previous video I did on moksha, that is, the other realms. That's like the spiritual realms. That's the psychic. That's the occult. Artha is all things tangible, all things real, all things in our daily reality. Like that. All right, so let me know if you guys have a lot of Artha energy activated in your chart. Whenever I see charts where someone is very focused on Artha energy, I always tell them, this is a lifetime where security is very important for you, and it's actually really important for you to have that stability and security, and it's actually very important to know that about someone from an astrological lens, because if someone has a very Artha dominant chart, I'm never going to tell that person, go quit your job and go freelance and, go travel to the Himalayan mountains and go hang out with a guru on the top of a mountain, because it's not that kind of way. It's a lifetime for them where they really need a lot of stability and security. And it's really important to note that when you are advising someone through a Vedic astrological lens, right? I'm not going to tell someone with tons of Artha energy to go be impulsive, go try all the jobs in the world, because their soul is not going to feel good doing that. They really need security. They need that stability in this lifetime. It's really important, right? If someone has a chart that's very moksha heavy, you can tell them, hey, you know, maybe you want to go travel a little bit. Maybe you want to go visit the different countries and meet some, you know, teachers and gurus. You know, it's more like that. But Artha energy is going to be very focused on like discipline, structure, order, financial security. All of those themes are very, very important to those who have a dominant Artha sort of energy in their chart. All right, so comment, like, and subscribe for more content coming soon. We're going to do the final pairing of houses next. And again, I really want to emphasize the importance of studying all the different meanings of the houses. That's going to be the most potent part of any Vedic astrological practice, is knowing the houses, really, really knowing what they mean and all the different vast meanings that they hold as well too. All right, sending all the love, sending all the best vibes, and we will talk soon. Bye, guys.